let's assemble our Mr. Gnightley. We've got 2 arms, a nose, and a scarf for the moment. Let's put those together. The scarf assembly for the Mr. Gnightley version of Mr. Gnightley, as opposed to the gnome-man, is identical, except that for Mr. Gnightley's version, we don't have sort of a top and bottom. We didn't do any decreasing in this circular piece, and so you don't need to worry about which one goes up, except for which one you want to be slightly more visible, but it will also be under the hat. So I'm going to link the same video as this one for this, but just remember it's knit slightly differently in the round, and so you don't need to worry about having the narrower side up because it's the same. All right, so we're going to start with the nose. I have lightly stuffed the nose, and I have left this straight sort of stem bit unstuffed. I'm going to figure out which side is my back. I can see a little break in the garter stitch here. If you don't see which is your back, that's no problem. Just find the side of the gnome you like the best. I can see here that I've got the increase and decrease lines here. So I'm going to use that as the sort of the edge and center the nose on those so that we've got this line here and then the nose is going to go here. Always want to get the nose right up tight to the brim, so I'm going to go under the very first stitch of the body and then through both layers of the nose, and that closes the nose up. I just need to get my stitch a little closer to the edge of the nose here. There we go. Let's see. So I've got a stitch of the body and a sort of through both layers of the nose. And I'm just going to go across the whole way, joining it like that. Make sure you always get both layers of the nose. Sometimes one layer, the bottom layer in particular, likes to hide. So just make sure you've got it. Body and nose. If this is going to be a toy, I would suggest going back one more time. And then bring your yarn to the back side of the nose and whip stitch along in this direction as well. So whip stitch, grab something from the body. I guess it's less of a whip stitch at this point, but we just need to sort of reinforce that whenever you're sewing a toy, it will get carried by every single thing possible. And so you want to have multiple attachment points and multiple directions of reinforcement so that no matter how something is being carried or loved, that you've got those multiple ways of the yarn supporting the pieces you're attaching. What I would do then is I would make a loop by sewing under a stitch or half a stitch here. And I've got a loop, go through the loop twice. Once and twice, and then pull on this while nudging the knot closer and closer to the nose itself so that the knot is as tight and as close to the surface as possible, and then just stick the yarn straight up through the nose, pull it so it's snugly, or so pull it so it's tight, and snip right up next to the fabric, and the end will pop in, and that nose will sort of stick out nice and gloriously from the brim. Now we are going to sew the arms just like we did with the gnome-man. We're going to do them ahead of the midpoint, so not at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock if we were looking from above, but just ahead of that. That helps the arms come to the front visually. And we're going to sew them right at that first round of the body color. Mr. Gnightley, with his top hat, has a very big droopy brim, so we can cover up a lot of stuff with those. So don't be shy. And don't worry too much about getting this absolutely perfect in terms of how the attachment point looks, because we are going to get a lot of that covered up. All right, so I'm going to attach mine about here, I think in here. Yep, that looks good. So let's get this one attached. going through the center of the I-cord and then grabbing a stitch of the body. And then again, through the I-cord, under the body. Multiple times if it's a toy to give that stability. And then we're going to go in the other direction, so through the I-cord and up and across the other way. And then if it's a toy, I always do the third direction, which is to lift the arm up and attach a stitch from the body to a stitch from the I-cord, and do that multiple times, especially the arms. It is so very, very likely that the gnome will be carried by the arms. Once you've done that, you can, if it's a decoration, you'll just slide it up either through the I-cord or through the body. But for toys, we're going to make a knot, making that loop. We're going to go through that loop twice, and then we're going to pull it nice and tight and get it as close to the body or arm as we can. And then we weave this up, pull tight, and the knot will disappear up and into the I-cord. Can you see how it's flat there now? And then we've got snip. If you like to get things very precise, you can count the number of stitches between the edge of your nose. Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then attach that way. Or you can just eyeball it. Gnomes are very forgiving, and wonkiness is gnominess. Everything I suggest for how to attach things and how to place things is just my responsibility as a designer to give you the instructions you need to produce the results I got in the pattern photo. But if you want to change the way your gnome is going to look, you get to do that. So always play around, play with placement. Placement really is personality with gnomes and toys. So think about how moving something up or down will make it look happy or sad or angry or whatever. And don't hesitate to go off script. I just have to give you a script, or I'm not doing my job as a designer. I will probably go give Mr. Gnightley a bit of a steam to help him settle into his self, but these are my tips for the assembly of Mr. Gnightley. If you were knitting as a mystery in December, I really hope you enjoy both the snowman surprise and then the Mr. Gnightley reverted back. Having a gnome that still felt very much like a snowman, but a little altered from his original self, was just a lot of fun. So we got the top hat and the little snowball arms, kind of hinting that he used to be a snowman. And I just had a great time with this, and I hope you did too. Happy gnoming.